Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on Podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United at the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this.
But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United from the National League are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on Podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. Thank you for listening. And if you're a new listener, you are very welcome. I'm your host, Mike, and today I'm taking another peek behind the amber curtain, if I could speak properly, with Lucy Clark. And we're going to be talking about the women's first team and a bit wider as well. We love hearing from you. Join the conversation, stay connected, share your thoughts on our episodes, chat with other fans, give me those likes, retweets, and thumbs up, which boost the ego, because I obviously need the ego boost. Big shout out to everyone who does that. You really do help us and make the show really, really great. Lucy, great to have you back.
Thanks for inviting me.
We spoke this time last year. I don't think we had a midterm one last year. I don't think I was really doing midterms last year. You were prepping for the new season. It's been another busy year, so we'll have a little catch up. You were talking a lot last summer about laying foundations and continue to move the club forward. 12 months down the line, what's your assessment of where the first team and the wider section are today?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've sort of said this, when we wind back to 12 months ago, I sort of said about trying to get into the pack and see where it takes us. Make the first round of the FA Cup was one of the goals. And yeah, just improve. It was all about, we need to try and make sure that we keep progressing. And I think, I'd like to say, I think we've done it, to be fair. I think we've, we got into the pack whilst we finished fourth. The only teams that we lost to all season were the top three, with apart from one game near the end. The only teams that we lost to were the top three, and we were the only team to beat Dartford, the champions, and we beat them twice. The only other game they lost all season was after extra time when they were down to 10 players in the FA Cup. So, yeah, another shows how far we've come, that we've managed to get some positive results against Dartford. Finished fourth, record points, much progression from last year. And, third round of the FA Cup, which was totally and utterly amazing. 2 away games in the first and second round. Obviously, beating Brentford was massive and a really, really good day out. And that was after we got through a couple of tough qualifying round games. And then, we didn't quite get the glamour draw that we wanted, with all respect to Chatham. Chatham at home. And still bugs me to this day, that game. We done all our due diligence on them. We knew what they were like and where they had threats. And we know that they had 2 excellent wingers with loads of pace. And lo and behold, within the first half, we've lost both of our fullbacks, who are also our captain and vice captain. So, and we placed them and they done really well, by the way, with a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old. So, and we lost it 3-0 and 3 silly mistakes. To be fair, for the 3 goals where they were clinical, but we'd have taken third round of the FA Cup this time last year without a doubt. Added to the group as well, we made a quarter final of a couple of other cups as well. We added to the group. Thought we added some real quality all the way through. During the summer we added real quality. as well as some youngsters with loads of good potential. We still had, like last season, we had two 17-year-olds that both played 30 games each, which shows the pathway and the progression through the club. We signed some players towards the end of the season of real quality, sort of, already with one eye on next season. So that was real positive from the first team. So first team wise, I think we're really happy. I think the girls really applied themselves well, had some brilliant days out, some great results, and set us up nicely for next season. We look at the dev team, which we had to rebuild again. And we're going to have to go through another rebuild again next year. We brought some players up from the under 18s. And they did the whole group did really, really well. There was pretty much a new side that we sort of put together. And yeah, they've done amazing. They was unbeaten in the league up until March the 22nd. Was well on course to win it. Had a couple of draws, which, kind of the wheels come off a little bit, and then lost to a 93rd minute free kick to Dorking when the goalkeeper had gone off injured with a busted thumb. Rach had to go in goal. He was like the centre back, and Dorking nicked a 93rd minute winner, which ultimately went on to see them go win the league. And well done to them. That was their under 23s. But yeah, finished third in that at the end, up against also, there's a very good Carl Shorten team in there. But the girls only lost, I think, 2 games all season. Set up really, really nicely for next season. I mean, we've lost quite a few to university and stuff like that, but I'm sure we'll touch on it with recruitment for next year in a minute. But plans are in place again for them to hopefully have another successful season next season.
Okay, well, some of that we are going to dive into a bit more. You have kind of looked through my sheet and gone, I'm answering all that. But if I wanted to put a little slogan next to your name, Lucy Clark, summing up last season in one sentence, what would you say last sentence was? It's a movie poster. There you go. Sutton United Women, 25-26 season. Quote.
Oh gosh, that's put me on the spot. I don't know. Yeah, it was positive. It was progression was made. I guess it would be. We wanted progression. We got progression. So yeah, I guess progression was made, and a lot of fun was had along the way. I guess. As well.
Here we go. That's actually the next question as well. But you could have just left it as "Oh gosh." That's your quote. Oh gosh. So reflecting back, obviously we've got eyes on the new season, but reflecting back, what made you smile the most over the past 12 months? What made you kind of go, yeah, that was good. I like
that. Obviously, the cup the Brentford away was amazing, and that led, we actually had quite a few supporters follow us to Brentford. So to see supporters actually come to support. I mean, we're not just talking about sort of friends or family of players. We actually had, some proper diehard Sutton fans come to that game to see supporters come and them enjoying that moment and to come back from behind to beat Brentford. That was amazing. That day will live long in the memory. The Bowers away day for me, I mean, we actually did a little poll amongst the girls and amongst the supporters group that we've got on WhatsApp, and that come out number one. But for me, I think the Bowers away, to go away, the whole year, it was the only time this year that the girls went on a coach, but we went on a coach with the supporters as well. So the whole experience of going to Bowers away was just totally and utterly amazing, and to get the victory as well. And whilst it doesn't look like it was actually fairly comfortable, except for the sort of the last 5 minutes when it was 3-2. I mean, their first goal was so far offside, it's ridiculous. But anyway, we had another season with quite a few bizarre decisions going against us, like typical
not
Sutton.
like you to complain about referees.
Oh my gosh! If you'd have seen some of the decisions, like you'd totally understand. I mean, got penalties given when we've won the ball 3 yards outside the box. It's like, yeah. But yeah, the whole Bowers experience and coming back on the coach, stopped off at a local Tesco's and grabbed loads of wine and beers and had a party on the coach on the way back. That was a real sort of memorable experience. And sitting down and watching the third round draw, just dreaming of that glamour tie. Yeah, that was amazing. I think the two victories over Dartford, especially the first. Now I'm going to listen. Fair play to Dartford. I'm really glad they've gone up. It was a good side, and I think they do well in the WNL. So they've moved up to like Tier 4, so the equivalent of League 2, but it's the National League for the women. They've gone up to there, and we wish them well there. But they knew, sometimes in these divisions, you could lose one or two games and not win the league. We've seen teams in women's football, because it's crazy. It's generally just the one up, where a team can sort of lose one game or draw one and not go up. It's ridiculous. And they knew that they had to pretty much win every single game. And when we beat them at our place 1-0, they were pretty devastated, to be fair, because I think that they put that down as an away win. And our girls were absolutely brilliant on the day, totally deserved the win. And we had there was players of theirs in tears after, but for me, which is not nice to see, but it just showed how far we've come, because Dartford have always been there the last sort of 3 seasons or so.
Yeah.
But shows how far that we've come, that we matched them when we played them away, and then to play them at home and to beat them, which ended up being their only league defeat all season, as I alluded to. That was good. That was a real special moment, because it sort of showed. So I think it gave the girls that belief. At this point, I don't think we was sort of in line that we could go and win the league ourselves. But it gave the girls the belief, look, we can beat these big teams. And the teams that have, Dartford have spent years getting themselves into that position. And I sort of said to the girls, we can go match them. And we did on that day and got the victory. And then, showed it wasn't a fluke when we played them in a cup, a couple of months later down at Gander Green Lane, and beat them 2-0 at home. And yet again, put on a really, really good performance. So yeah, they're for me, that are kind of like the standout moments. Going to Millwall away was nice as well. I think we deserve to win the game. We come away from there with a draw, but the girls getting a chance to play at the Den against a big crowd was nice. And there was lots of really, really, really good moments throughout the season, to be fair, but they're kind of my standout ones.
Well, I'm going to skip the next question and go to the following one, because you may have already touched on it. What was the point where you sat or stood and thought, we're actually becoming a really good side? Was it that Dartford game, or was it before that? Did you have the belief prior to the Dartford game?
Yeah, no, I think the Dartford game kind of rubber stamped it, that we're not a million miles away from a team that could go and win the league potentially next year. It's going to be, tough. We'll talk about that, I'm sure. But no, I think it was, we lost to Dartford early on in the season at Dartford, but again, we matched them, and it was, it took a 25-yarder into the top corner for them to beat us. But we'd gone there and matched them there. So I knew we wasn't a million miles away from it. And some of the results we were getting, we beat Barking, we beat Barking twice, and they're good side, some very, very good players. And we beat them twice. And it was quite early in the season that I knew that I knew we probably weren't going to be the team that go win the league, but I knew we was a good side, and we showed a lot more progression from sort of where we were like last May, if you like. I thought the recruitment that we'd done in the summer was great. I mean, the great one that we managed to get was Gabby, who then sadly had to go back to America. And without, again, I'm sure we'll touch on new players, but Gabby is desperately trying to get back to the UK and desperately wants to come back and play for Sutton,
Yeah.
even though other clubs and clubs that I've mentioned already tonight are trying to get Gabby to come back to play for them. But
I don't know about that. I mean, we went on a great run, and then as soon as we lost the game, she buggered off and went to America. I'm not playing anymore. We lost. I remember saying that to her, and she was like, "No." So, flipping it a little bit, what was your main kind of frustration last season? What were you kind of like? That's a sticking point. I'm going to sort that over the summer, or sort it at some point last season. What was your main sort of frustration?
Do you know what? I really did. There was a couple of results, a couple of cup defeats that we had where we dominated games and we just couldn't score or finish the games. And, Hammersmith away, we dominated the game, and the keepers seem to have these worldies against us, or we just don't have this bit of luck with decisions. And Hammersmith were a good team, to be fair, but we sort of lost to them in the 93rd minute for another great goal. I mean, teams seem to have this habit of scoring great goals, and which is frustrating. I mean, the Bromley defeat away again, it was small moments. We were the better team, I felt, throughout the game, and we went out of them 2 cup competitions. So I think, if we'd have been a bit more clinical in them games, I think that we'd have gone on and potentially made a cup final, which would have been nice. I think that would have been sort of a good end to the season, and the girls kind of deserved that to get that cup final. But they're probably the two frustrating. The two cup defeats to Hammersmith and Bromley were frustrating, and losing Tess and then Beth really early in the game against Chatham in the FA Cup, because that was a massive game for us. And I partly put that down to me as well. I changed our game plan a little bit, and I perhaps shouldn't have done. I should have trusted the girls and trusted the process a little bit, if I'm honest. But we then played them up again later on, which we did. Well, we played them on the Wednesday, and again should have had a penalty when Gabby was clearly brought down, and we lost 1-0. And that, trust me, the team we took to Chatham on the Wednesday was like the biggest patched up team that you've ever seen. I think losing 3 cup games to Chatham over the season really bugs me. Like, the FA Cup bugged me, the Isthmian League Cup bugged me, and the other one came at the end of the season. And again, we've done really well for the first. Again, small mistakes. I just think the girls were tired. So probably if I had to pinpoint one frustration, I would just say Chatham Town.
I'd actually written down referees. But,
Oh Christ! If you want me to start about referees, I mean, honestly,
you'll lose your badge.
No, have a look. I mean, I obviously still referee myself. I've still got the badge too. But have a look at Barking at home. I mean, thankfully, Ella Meehan scored an Ella Meehan free kick in the 93rd minute. But we just scored, and the referee then... Ella's just cleared the ball. Their centre forwards run into her like it was 3 yards outside the box. If it was a foul to us, if anything, and the ref nobody appealed for anything, and the ref just give a penalty to him, and we're like, "What have you actually just seen?" It was the craziest decision that I've ever seen. And ironically, the same official. We played Saltdean away, and Saltdean obviously they went up this year, finishing second to Dartford. And at 0-0, Emma Spear was clean through, so far onside. It was, she was like 4 yards onside, clean through, just a goalkeeper to beat. And there's only ever one outcome if Emma Spear's clean through with just a goalkeeper to beat. We get back to our half ready for the kickoff because she scores. And Alino just suddenly put his flag up. And it was the same one, and you're just like, oh my gosh. So Chatham Town and one particular referee.
Yeah, not poor Emma, but I keep calling her Hannah.
Yeah.
And I keep saying it. I think, why is she ignoring me? And then, that's because that's not her name. You've mentioned the FA Cup and I'm not going to apologise for mentioning it again and again. I mean, trying to put it into words, you said our aim was to reach the first round of the FA Cup. That was like our target. How special was the journey through the FA Cup? You've kind of obviously came to an end with a team that should not be named again, but the Brentford match you mentioned as well as a particular highlight. What was the journey like?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, because obviously the year before we'd gone out on penalties to a team from the level below, which was a massive frustration. So we never even threw around the year before. And that really, really bugged me as well. It was kind of like Yedding vibes from the men's team back many moons. So we really wanted to win an FA Cup game for starters. And as I say, the aim was first round. We had, again, another tricky tie on paper away to Burgess Hill in the first round. And I sort of reminded the girls of what had happened the year before, where the other team had come out with a low block and just frustrated us, and then managed to nick a goal, and we equalised late on, but not too late to go and get the winner. And I reminded the girls of that, like, let's not have that frustration, because I know that it frustrated them as well. And we put on an absolute masterclass away at Burgess Hill in the second qualifying round, and we beat them 9-0, which was just a real good performance. And then Penn and Tyler's, it was they're again another team from the division below, but like a different area. So you're always unsure of what them teams are going to be like. And I think they at the time they was top, or they were first or second in their league anyway. And I think they'd only lost one game all season. So that you're going to get a tough game. And we went 1-0 down within 5 minutes. This is in the third qualifying round, and you're thinking, oh, God, here we go. But we just played some really, really good football. We were 4-1 up, after about an hour of the game. They got it back to 4-2, but then we got the fifth. And it was, again, apart from that first 5 minutes of going 1-0 down and thinking, oh, here we go. We got ourselves back level fairly quickly, and then looked comfortable all the way through. I think it was 3-1 at half time. So that was great. And then we suddenly got the first round draw. And that was a real good experience, because then suddenly the draw is like live. You can go, so we all went down with some of the supporters, which was really nice, and great support from them. The supporters club, they come down to, Andrew and Lynn and a few of the others come down to, we went to the Robin Hood to watch the draw, and that was brilliant, like suddenly knowing, this is our ball number and who are we going to get in the first round. And it was crazy, because out of the 3 rounds that were televised, we were the first tie out on 2 occasions, which was just like madness. And Brentford, and they drew, Brentford were the first team out, and we were all like, no, versus Sutton United, and we're like, oh gosh, here we go. And we went there. They scored a complete fluke across that sort of flew in over into the top corner. And you're like, oh, it's going to be one of them days. But we were the better team. We got the equaliser in the second half with Gabby. I mean, Kashayla had a header that was brilliantly saved. I remember that. And when we got it back to 1-1, it really only looked like one team was going to win it, and that was going to be us. Phoebe hit the post. We had another couple of really, really good efforts, and they defended. They were defending for their life. So we were the better team. Probably went to penalties quite frustrated that it had got to penalties, but also knowing that we've got a chance. We back Megan when it comes to penalties, and we had some practice in training with the girls about penalty shootouts, and lo and behold, we ended up missing. So we, I think we missed the penalty early doors in the penalty shootout, and it's like, oh god, here we go. But Megan pulled off 3 brilliant saves, and Zoe put the winner away with the 6th penalty of the match. So of the the shootout. So. And them scenes were just, as I say, like, it's they're on our Instagram story, and I've gone back and looked over the FA Cup and that particular moment, Ahmed's commentary, and there's a clip there from one of the supporters that was right by the celebrations. But for me, it was it was seeing the joy in the girls' faces, and for me, that was a special moment. Like, seeing how much the girls enjoyed that moment, because I know they'd worked so hard and they deserve to have that moment. And watching the clips back and seeing them all celebrate, and I am sad. I've probably gone back and watched it a million times, and every time I've looked at a different player just to see how they celebrated it. And not only the girls, the staff as well. It was great to watch, because the staff work so hard. We've built a really, really good team. I think people look at the backroom staff. We've got a massive backroom staff at Sutton now, but we run like we're a WSL team. We're really, really professional. And seeing them all enjoy that moment as well. They've all bought into our ethos, and they all work really, really hard behind the scenes. So to see them all enjoying that moment as well, it was pretty amazing at Brentford. And then I think, Bo, as I've mentioned, the coach trip, and we got there. It was a bit frustrating. They'd gone against FA regulations, and there was a game going on the pitch before. So for me, that was a bit, that shouldn't have happened. And that was a bit frustrating for us, because we want to get set up. We the game's not going to be delayed, and we need to get our set up for our warm up, and we've got we've got our ritual there, and it's like, well, you shouldn't be having an under 18 game or whatever it is on before an FA Cup. Like, it's an FA Cup second round game. It's not like. But again, we took quite a few supporters there as well. And watching the celebrations back after that game, I think we were comfortable. We went 1-0 up fairly early. Beth Humphrey with a penalty, and she just doesn't miss them. She can go either way, and she generally finds the corners. Hits the side netting. So, and she does what Beth does, puts us 1-0 up, and we then go 2-0 up with a brilliant goal from Millie Cutler. And the photos and the videos of seeing the girls celebrating that second goal are just like, really sort of like, goosebumps watching them and seeing them back. And then, as I say, classic, girls 2-3 yards offside, and gets allowed, the flag doesn't go up, and suddenly it's 2-1, and you're like, right, okay, here we go. But then we go and make it 3-1 with another brilliant finish from Millie Cutler, who won the Players' Player of the Year award, and deservedly so. She was brilliant this season. So she put us 3-1 up. So again, we're fairly comfortable. Then we should have had a penalty. Bree had a shot, and the girl got whacked. Yeah, she got whacked just after shooting, and the referee just gave a goal kick. And then 2 minutes later, they had a shot, and the girl got whacked just after shooting, and the ref gave a penalty. It's like, well, 2 minutes ago it wasn't a pen, and now it was. To be fair, I think both of them were pens. But yeah, so he's given them a pen, so it made it 3-2 again. So, them last 5 minutes were like, real tense times, because we don't want to go to penalties here. We deserve to win the game, and but we was really professional. I think our game management this year was a lot better. Still not perfect. We still got things to work on, but our game management was a lot better. So we saw the game out, and the victory, and all the joys of of being into the third round, and sort of hoping that you get that glamour tie in the third round, and a couple of sleepless nights before the draw, but absolutely brilliant from the girls and the supporters. The supporters on that day as well were absolutely excellent. We took big numbers there, and it's great to see that supporters making the effort to come and support the girls.
Yeah, and some of that has stayed as well, hasn't it? It's not like they only came for the cup ties. There's fairly good crowds, normal league games as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so what's kind of happened is, it's one of them, isn't it? I think once they start coming and suddenly realise, the atmosphere is really, really good. It's the classic, Sutton feel that you get to know all the players and you can get to know all the staff. I mean, I like to think, I've got, a lot of the supporters know me already, which is great. And I always want to talk to all. I always try and talk to all the supporters, as when they come to the games and they're part of it. There can be the 12th player, and Dartford, going back to them, they built their crowds, and look at Dulwich, the crowds that they're getting now. And they, I refereed their first game when they had 20 supporters, and now they're getting 1,200 some weeks for the women's. I think when they've sort of suddenly realised and they've come and they're like, well, A, it's a good atmosphere. B, again, you get to meet and speak to all the Sutton players, and C, we're playing some good football. It's exciting. We played some brilliant football. We've scored some brilliant goals. I think we've, the girls have won the goal of the month competition when it's been mixed up this year. I mean, you just only have to look at Ella Meehan's goal, the one goal of the season for the women, like 35, 40-yard free kick top corner. Thank you very much. We've scored some absolutely brilliant goals this season. We played some really, really good football. And the girls worked really hard, and they worked really hard for the club and the badge, and they deserve that support. And I think, people actually, when they start coming and they come to a few games and they're actually like, do you know what? This is really enjoyable. And, football's good and atmosphere is good. And, suddenly they start coming back to watch more and more games. And, again, I urge people to come and support and watch the girls. And, season tickets have just gone on sale now for next season. And get yourself a season ticket. It works out £2 a game. It's like, ridiculous. Come and support the girls. They really appreciate all the support that we get. And, as I say, the football's good. Like some of the goals, you look at the goal of the season competition at the end of the year that we put out, and we could have put another 10 in and they would have justified, being in that goal of the season competition. So, yeah, it's brilliant that to suddenly see more supporters coming and watching and then not only coming and watching, not just the big games, but then returning for the other games as well.
And for yourself, do you feel that you've evolved as a coach? I know you mentioned that, I probably made a mistake on that game. Do you feel you've become more demanding? How do you feel you've developed as a coach over the last year?
So I set the bar really, really high for the girls, for the staff, and for myself. But I'm like a sponge. I'm always learning. I will continue to manage for hopefully a long time yet, but I think until the day I stop managing, I will always be learning constantly. I'm my own worst critic. I will always look back after every game and every training session in what did I do, could I do better, and what can I do to do better. I'm never satisfied, 100% coming away like everything was perfect. Yes, there might be small moments that I've come away and I'm like that, we did that well today and we did that, and you do need, of course, a bit of praise here and there, but for me, I'm always learning. I'm always looking to learn. I'm always looking at new ideas. I've already spoke to Aggie about coming down, watching some of the men's sessions. There's stuff I can learn from Aggie, and I'm, speaking to other coaches from other teams and networking, and what can I do better? So I always feel there's room for improvement and I will always feel that I will continue to always try and improve throughout the whole of my sort of managing coaching career. and I'll never ever stop improving. So yeah, I always feel that I can do better, and listen, we go win the league, don't lose the game, win the FA Cup, then yeah, I've probably hit the target that we want. So
No goals conceded.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm always looking to improve and always want the best standards for both myself and for the whole team.
So obviously there was a mix of a lot of recruitment and players coming back. Is it more satisfying for you to get that bit of recruitment on a player that maybe people have overlooked and then flourish, or a player that has improved dramatically over the time that you've been coaching? Which gives you more satisfaction, or is it kind of same?
Yeah, both.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mean, question, wasn't it?
Yeah, no. I mean, both. It's fair. But yeah, for me, I think you take satisfaction of, I've been in the job now, sort of, will be 3 years soon, and there's a few players that are still here from the first squad, that I inherited, and I think that we'd look at them and they definitely say that they've improved. I mean, their numbers are telling us that they've improved. That's for sure. So they've improved as footballers, but people as well. I think we look at that. That's definitely great to see, sort of long-term players improving. Players that we brought in, I think they've all improved. They come in and look at the ethos. It's great. I mean, we'll talk about next season, I'm sure. And I'll throw some numbers out to you that you're going to just be like, wow, that is crazy. But yeah, the players that we brought in sort of last year, we've seen improvement in all of them. And what they've then done, I think, is what you get new players in, and of course, when you bring new players in, it drives up the standards from the rest of the squad as well. You get decent players in, then other players are like, right, I've got to match them. I mean, we'll name check Nadia, who we bought in, Nadia Shabania, and we bought her in sort of the last 10, 11 games of the season. And like, her numbers are just ridiculous, when we sort of look at the stats. And not only is she a brilliant footballer, and a really, really good person that's just come in, fitted in really, really well to the group. We look at her sort of meters per minute and the parameters that we sort of look at from the data that we collect, and her numbers are just crazy. And what they do then is we can go to other players and sort of say, well, look, we thought you were doing really, really well, but like, this is the numbers that Nadia's hitting, and these are the kind of numbers we need you to get close to. And I think the other girls as well are seeing the numbers that certain players might be hitting and thinking, well, I'm looking at what they're doing, and can I get my standards up? Because whilst we're not athletes in the sense that we run around a track, you need to be fit on a football pitch, and that's one of the parameters that we do look at. And yeah, so yeah, like, as I say, it's both are good. Are good when you get the good ones in.
I think what you're describing there, the current trendy term is raising the floor of the team, raising the minimum that the team are going to perform at.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So you mentioned Aggie. One thing that he struggled with last season is leaders on the pitch. How was your team faring with leaders on the pitch? Who was kind of your voice on the pitch? Who was the coach on the pitch?
So we're lucky in that front, to be fair. The great thing about the girls as well is, is they all want to learn and they all want to get better, and they've set them standards themselves. And we sort of wind back to sort of last August, when our captain, Sophie Modak, comes up to us and says, hi, Luce, can I have a chat? And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay, I've got to stop playing now. We're like, what? Oh, she's pregnant, right? And she's had the baby now, and actually come back and played again since. She's crazy. She's like, so there's one big leader, and she was still down. She was at every training session. We talk about standards. She was 8 months pregnant and still coming to training and running 5K. I mean, crazy. And 10 days after she's had the baby, she's back at training. 2 weeks later, she's back in the squad. She's just like, crazy. So one leader there, then Tess takes over the armband. She's another leader. If then, Tess got injured, she was out for 4 months. And then you've got Beth, who, well, she's only sort of 21, another massive leader and leads by example, and wore the armband and done really, really well, and was really, respected amongst her peers. But then, even when we didn't have them three, we then had Millie Cutler, who again leads by example, and another girl that's a leader. And then I can list off the names. We got Kashayla, who's an international, she really leads by example, and is vocal, and is could quite easily wear the armband. Exactly the same. I'm probably missed one out, but Eden, another one that could go out there and wear the armband. Hannah, another international that's leads, that can lead by example. So there's just really there already, and even Phoebe early on in the season, I think she was 16, and we gave her the armband in a pre-season game because she's very, for a 16-year-old that's just come from under 16s football into suddenly open age football. And, she's talking and communicating on the pitch like she's a 30-year-old. So I think on that respect, like we've got lots of players that lead either by their communication, by the way they act, by the way that they, train, the way that they play. You can talk like Elamy and the tackles that she goes and puts in. I could literally sit here and list pretty much the whole squad, and in they're all
one player you haven't listed going way.
No, I do apologise for that.
That's all right. I'm cutting you short on that one because.
We got lots of leaders.
So how much does the first team interact with the section in general? I know women's football is really it's just so different to men's football, and it's a really supportive just environment in general. But is there a lot of crossover? Did they get involved with the younger age groups and stuff?
So we next year we're changing the name of the development team to the under 23s, even though but we still have players that are older. I mean, we talk about Fern, who had a baby and come back and is a brilliant player, but she played a lot of her football last year in the development team. So it's not an age thing, but we just like the sound of under 23s better. So we do actually train a lot together with the under 23s. So there's a real good close knit there, and we trade at the same space at the same time. So there's a lot of stuff that we will do together, whilst we do quite a bit separately when the time's right. We also do some stuff where we work together. So if a player comes from the under 23s to the first team, then it's not a massive jump up for them, and they kind of now, we just actually had a managers meeting earlier this week, and one of the things that we're doing is making sure that we align in sort of our game model, how we're going to set up for set pieces, how we're going to play out from the back. We're going to kind of align ourselves so both the under 23s and the first team are kind of playing the same way, working the same set pieces, whether it be defending set pieces, attacking set pieces. And we, ultimately it will change game to game depending on the opponents, but, we want to be an aggressive team on the front foot, pressing high, winning the ball back and creating lots of chances. That's kind of the game model that we want for both teams. So we've got that link up with the under 23s already. We're exploring the opportunities of potentially having an under 21 team. I think the downside of that might potentially be sort of just facilities and a few other little bits, but we'd like to get the under 23s to have that structure through. And I'm really trying to build, and they're being really reciprocal. That's not the right word, but the word I was trying to get, that I probably not even going to try and say it again because I'll probably get it wrong. We're trying to work really well with the girls section, so the under 10s to the under 18s, So I sort of went down, for example, to their awards. I've been down to watch them all train. I've got, I think, a really good relationship with the under-18 managers. This year, we've already got 3 players that will play for both the under-18s and our under-23s. So we're trying to really make sure that that pathway is there, but we sort of build the build the connection between the girls section and the women's sort of first team and the under 23 teams. So yeah, I think we've got some really exciting girls coming through. It's been great going to watch them. There's a couple of girls there that are 14, 15. I'm like, when do they turn 16? Because really,
when can they be mine?
Yeah, that's it. So we want that. We want that progression. We want the next Lily Dent. We want the girl that's come through our whole pathway system, comes into the first team, and then progresses and moves on to one of the big clubs in the WSL and stuff. We want another Lily Dent. So we're really keen to make sure that we've got that progression through. So I think it was a little bit fractured when I first joined. There wasn't that connection there, but I feel that we're really building a connection. And I talked to David, the chairman of the girls section, quite a bit now, and we're really trying to build that connection and sort of make sure that we're all working the right way. And I'm looking personally at what other academies are doing, and can we use their principles within our academy? Because if a Bournemouth and a Crystal Palace are using these certain philosophies, then perhaps they've looked at it a bit more, because that's something that we could potentially use, and how we sort of move our girls through the system. So yeah, I'm really keen for us to have the next Lily Dent and to progress these girls. And as I say, I'm really pleased that I can say that this year, for the first time since I've been here, and as far as I know, there's girls there that will be both registered and signing and training with both the under 18 in the JPL and playing for our under 23s. And listen, if they're good enough, then the first team, because I think I've already just said, like with Phoebe and Amy, we had 2 girls last year, 16, 17, that played sort of over 30 games.
I mean, obviously, I've always been banging the drum and everything, because women's football still developing a lot. Some of the players at the other end would have still been growing up with football being a bit, not weird, but it's slightly unusual for girls to be playing football. But those girls that you've mentioned, Amy and Phoebe and Megan and so on, their experience must be really, really different in football. Are they aware that they're kind of the young little girls are watching them, and they're almost inspiring the next batch of players? Is that even on their mind anymore, or is it just like, we're playing football, crack on, this is it, this is normal?
Yeah, no, I think they're getting a little bit more aware of it. I mean, one of the great things that we did this year is, again, I want to show the younger age groups of the girls that we've got within the club. We want them to play for the first team. So we had, like, for an example, we had a game this year, and I think 4 of the girls that were currently with the under 15s, we allowed them to come in and experience a match day with us. So they sat through the team talk, which for them, I think they really, really enjoyed. They was part of the team talk, saw the warm-up, saw how all the girls prepare. But not only that, the girls really interacted well with them as well. And I think when we on other games where we've had like the younger age groups that have come along to be ball girls or mascots, we've also made sure, I'm always, if we ever have one of the younger teams coming in, I really want them to make sure that they come in and meet the girls and ask them questions. And then, like for us, some of the girls are then getting, some of them asking for pictures and stuff like that. So they've suddenly then got their favourite player. I think, like, we look at Tilly and Megan. I mean, Tilly loves Megan, and it's great, to see that the younger generation are looking up to the players that are currently there in the first team. I think the first team are, again, yeah, you're right. Some of the ones that are probably sort of the 30-odd-year-olds, it might be, it's a kind of a new thing for them, I guess. But they really enjoy it, and they really sort of embrace the the younger girls that sort of come and want to be part of Sutton in years to come, but they're playing for Sutton now, and they do look up and they want to be the next Tessa Allen or the next Sophie Bodak or whatever. So yeah, no, they it must be a bit weird for them, but it's now becoming more a bit of the norm, shall we say?
Yeah. I mean, it's you remember when Lottie was going through school, she's what 21. It was still like, oh, should we do a girls' team or not? And then in Rosie, 8, no, not a question. This is the girls' team. So it's like that's not even that many years. It's only 12 years difference, and just the attitude is completely different from the whole lot. But do you think people kind of underestimate the commitment that the players have for this level of football? Do you think people don't realise kind of what goes on outside of match days?
1,000,000%. They have not got a clue, half of them, with all respect. Not got a clue. I think they all think that they live in Collingwood Road and they turn up on a Sunday and have a kickabout and a game of football and that's it. And that's not being rude. I think when I've sat and spoken to some of the supporters about what the girls do, they're like, wow, this is crazy. I mean, if we let now, they're doing like a pre-season plan. So, and we've got a Strava group, and if it's not logged, they didn't do it. And that's the ethos, and they know that they've got to be fit, so they're out. The girls are out now following a pre-season plan. Once the season starts, I mean, we'll talk about just quickly a normal like week of football for them, for example. So we'll start with the Sunday. That will be a game, and then Monday they'll have match day +1. So they'll have a session that they have to do for match day +1. And then they'll have a match day +2, which will be other things that they have to do on a Tuesday. And this is like obviously all working full time or being students and what have you not. Then a Wednesday they'll come to training for 2 hours. Now let's bear in mind that we train at David Weir, and some of them will come for 2.5 hours because some of them will come for the strength and conditioning session that we have to do before, or some of them we might call them in a little bit earlier because we want to do analysis with them. But some of them are coming from, we had players last year coming from Alton, which is, miles away. This year, we've got players coming from Brighton. We've got players coming from all over London. We've had players apply to join us from like Chelmsford and Cambridge. So the girls travel just come to, miles just to come to training. So they'll come to training for sort of, 2.5 hours, shall we say. So obviously that's the travel to get to training, then 2.5 hours training, then get home. And then on that, they've then got Thursday, and they've got to come in on a Thursday, and they've got to do training again. And we have training on a Thursday night for an hour and a half. And then Friday, they've got another little plan that they have to do on a Friday. And then we give them Saturday off, so they get a bit of a rest day on a Saturday, and then they're back to Sunday. So, and
at least they get good money for it.
Exactly. And they're
good money for it.
We won't talk about that. But yeah, and they do all of that, at their own expense.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that. They do that at their own expense and for the love of the game, and they love the game, and they know to play at this level that that's what they're going to have to do. And that's I want us to get us up a couple of levels, and then we have to go and see Mr. Otto and say, right, we have to be full time now, Gary, because that's the level that we're at.
But also, would you say at their own expense? Some of that will be, especially people traveling from distance, they'll be needing to leave work early, taking leave or building up hours to come and leave early enough to come and do the training. And at some point, they have to eat. They can't just go from work to training and do nothing. So, yeah, that is a huge, if nothing else, just the time expense is a lot.
Oh yeah, leave work early. They have to leave work early, or if we've got a match midweek away, take a half day from work just because of football. And you talk about food, we've actually got a nutritionist. So the nutritionist will tell them what to eat and when to eat. And if they've got a match that day, they're going to have to eat like 4 hours before the game. So if the game kicks off at 7:30, then they've got to eat at 3:30, and they might be at work. So then they've got to say to their boss, like, can I have my lunch, or can I leave work today at 3:30 just so I can eat my food in preparation for the match tonight, so I'm properly fueled at the right time that I'm needed to be fueled for tonight. And then could be a game we've had it, midweek game away at Billericay. Imagine getting back, a match finishing at Billericay, and you're leaving the ground at 10:30 at Billericay, and then you've got to get back to Brighton, or you've got to get back to Alton. So the commitment that the girls do is just absolutely crazy. And we want them there 2 hours before a game. So and we've got, like, next year we've got Worthing away, Eastbourne away, New Haven away. So there's 3 long trips down to the coast where they're going to have to be at the ground for midday. So some of them might have to be leaving at sort of 10 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So, their commitment's amazing. People don't understand the commitment and the effort that these girls put in for the club and for the badge that we all love.
Yeah. Well, you've given me their week. What about yours? How much of it, you've got the Wednesdays and the Thursdays, but how much is put down into recruitment, coaching, admin? What's your kind of regular week like, if there's such a thing?
Well, I'm full-time. Mm-hmm. It's a full-time job for me. I mean, I've got a business that I do, that I actually do 2 days a month work. I'm very lucky that Avril's got a good job. So for me, that my whole life is literally, it sounds crazy, but I get up in the morning and pretty much all bar maybe an hour, well, I do try and switch off them, but then I'm generally watching old Sutton United videos or looking at other teams on YouTube. It's all about, we're either preparation. So like at the moment now, obviously, it's been mad with recruitment. We actually had 180 girls apply to come and join us this season. That have come and applied to us, which is just crazy numbers. But yeah, so like we've obviously got, I do all the admin side of stuff as well. So it's getting all the kit orders in. We're obviously got a new kit supplier next year. It's getting all their orders in from all of the girls. We're dealing with all the return to plays, getting girls ready. So I'm talking with the strength and conditioning coaches and the physios about getting the girls ready. We're planning already for pre-season, what we're going to do pre-season, and a normal week sort of for me once the season starts will be the match on the Sunday, where obviously not only that, I've got to get the ground at home games, I've got to get the ground prepared, I've got to get the turnstiles ready, we've got to get the dugout sorted, we've got to get the changing rooms and all the signage up. We're looking for help. If anyone does want to come and help, please do, because we're doing so much, having to get the corner flags out, just some of the menial tasks, and the nets down. I'm having to get to the ground, sort of 4 hours before kickoff, just to try and get some of the stuff done on some of the occasions. And then obviously you've got the match itself. And then, the after the match, it's, you then got to go and analyse that whole match and give the girls a feedback and look back at the whole game. And then we're dealing with preparing for training, talking to the girls all the time. We're looking at opposition analyses, making sure that they're out, and we're watching opponents, and then we're looking at their analysis, and we're then planning for what the match looks like next week. As well as everything else that goes with it. We got a girl's injured, who's missing, who's on holiday. I've got charts here, charts there, spreadsheets here, spreadsheets there. It's a full job. I then go to sleep and I don't sleep because my mind just is thinking football all the time. And it is. It's I wouldn't want it any other way. But it is pretty much a 24-hour job, 7 days a week, because you're just non-stop, doing something or another, like, downloading a VO, getting a VO repaired, meetings with the staff and meetings with the players. I mean, at the end of the season, we had to give all the players their sort of one-to-ones talking about who, give them their reviews for the season, who are we retaining, who are we releasing, and then obviously the recruitment for next season. So it's a full-on job all day, every day, and then obviously nagging Joycey, nagging Phil, nagging Jack, nagging, trying to help get sponsors in, and all the other bits and bobs that goes with. It is what it is, but I love it.
So not much time for Football Manager games then.
Do you know what? I was actually gifted it. I was gifted it, and I've never played it. So I've never had any time to play it, which is quite frustrating. And I thought I'd buy a PS5 a few months ago, so I could have a little bit of downtime playing it, and that's just sat there gathering dust. And I mean, so much so we haven't had holiday this year because I haven't got time. And we're waiting for the fixtures to come out, and we're gonna go and book and have 4 or 5 days away in either Eastbourne, Brighton, or Worthing. Whoever we've got on the Sunday, so I can obviously still then sort of say to Avril Sunday morning, right, I'm off to the match now, and I'll see you after. So yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to get a violin out. As I say, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to get a PS5, but then I realised I haven't turned on the PS4 for about 6 months. I was like, "What? It's no point."
Yeah.
Right, next season, without giving away any secrets, obviously, what are your priorities to strengthen the squad?
I think the one that we had. That was glaring last year. We've generally got are quite strong in most positions, to be fair. But you're always looking to bring in players that you think might improve the starting 11 or the squad. I think we definitely had to look at getting in a right back that would cover for Tess. That was a big, massive one, because obviously when we lost Tess, whilst we had some other girls come in and play that position and do really, really well, it wasn't their natural position. Whereas in other positions we had good cover. So that was one. We identified somebody, and we've made quite a lot of signings already. I know we actually, as things stand, haven't actually announced any. I might give you some pointers and some that we've signed in a minute. We've had to completely pretty much rebuild the whole of the under-23s, girls that had left at the end of the season. One's going to uni. This year we've lost Zoe again, who's doing her second year at uni. She obviously played lots of games in the cup. Millie German's uni again will only be available for the first 2. But it's still very much a Sutton player, as is Zoe. When their uni days are done, we can't wait to get them back into the squad. But obviously, we've got to look for next season. So we've got lots of really good younger players that are coming through that could push for first team for sure, and have definitely got first team potential. But we've sort of got them in to potentially be in the under-23s and then pushing to get into the first team. The under-23 team next year is just going to be an absolute monster. I think there was, as I said, 180 players applied to join this year, which is just crazy numbers. We run a trial. We could literally only invite a third of them to the 2 trials because of the space. And I never forget, the story of Ifeanyi Koku sort of turning up at Collingwood Rec with his boots round his neck saying, "Can I have a trial?" And I was like, "Well, that's not how we do things, but you're here now, so come on then." And obviously we know the story of Ethan, who was brilliant at his time at Sutton and went on to have an amazing career. So I always think of that. So it was a bit frustrating for me that there was a few players, more than a few players, probably about 100 players that we've not even seen, which is, because there would have potentially been that next superstar within there. So that was a bit frustrating. But the ones that we did invite down, the quality is just like amazing. as I say, we signed some that we're sort of earmarked for under 23s, but could push for first team for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. And then we've got some we've got some girls coming in to join the first team that are just going to take us up another level. We've signed. Without wanting to give names away yet, we've signed a former Welsh international under youth international who's played Tier 3. Who we're really excited to sign. We got another girl who's coming to training. She hasn't actually finally committed yet, but she's played Tier 3 as well. Really, really good player, like loads of energy. We've made this unbelievable signing that I can't wait for us to announce, who's come from not a million miles away, and she's very, very young. And she's brilliant now, and she's going to just get better and better and better. And that will be like a real, I think when we announce her, people are going to go like, wow, that's like an absolute brilliant signing. We got a couple of others that we're still sort of working on. One that's been at Palace under 21s, and we've got to sign a girl that's been at West Ham. Their academy. I'm just so excited. I think the actual real quality that we've got. There's another little. She's like a female Santi Cazorla. She's just like 2-footed, absolutely brilliant. Great control, brilliant on the ball. Really excited to see her play. Yeah, just we've signed an international. Got an international coming down. She's really excited, wants to join. We've sort of she comes to the trial. She's really, really strong, and has been away on international duty 3 weeks ago. And she's gonna come down and meet the girls, and she's not signed on the dotted line yet, but she's very, very close. So player recruitment is just added to what is already a really, really good group.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Just a little thing there. You're saying we turned away 100 girls from the trials, and you just think a few years ago, what I was saying about the game going so well, a few years ago, it was almost at a point of if you've got a body and you can kick the ball, you're probably going to find a place because you're willing. And now we're going, actually, we fill up with trialists. We can't even take any more in. That's insane. That is such a massive, massive growth.
Yeah, well, we had 25 last year apply.
Yeah. So even a year, yeah. So what, have you set yourself targets for next year, or not yet, or don't want to talk about them? That's absolutely fine. And what would success look like? Are you going for it, or is it just building?
We want progression. We've got a tagline for next year, which is Project Promotion.
Right.
So I think that shows you where we want to be. I mean, with this look at our league, we've lost Dartford and Saltdean, who have both gone up. Yep. Coming down have been Worthing. And I feel that they'll be in a bit of a transitional period because they've been in Tier 4. They had a really good squad. They got moved across divisions. Probably if we look at the male equivalent of when Bishop Stortford gets shunted into the National, League North, it sort of decimates them a little bit, doesn't it? And I think that's kind of what happened with Worthing. They got moved into the National League Southwest division. So I think they'll be on a bit of a rebuild. So I think they'll look just to come down to consolidate next year. I think they'll be decent, but they'll be a team that will be coming in looking to consolidate. I think we've lost Dartford, we've lost Saltdean, who have both gone up. If we look at the league table, how it finished last year, it was Dartford, Saltdean, Brentford, then us. Below us, you've got Barking are going to be strong. Millwall are going to, be strong. I hear that they've got a nice budget, and Barking have as well. Dorking are in a bit of a transitional stage, like new manager. I know I've seen quite a few of their players have moved on. Yeah, and the teams coming up. We know Hammersmith and Bromley. We met them both last year. They're going to be decent. Of course they are. They beat us both last year. But, coming into step 5, I think they'll be looking to come in and consolidate at this level. So for us, it's project promotion. But we know we're up against a very good Brentford side who are going to strengthen from last year for sure. But they've sort of, again, they've changed their model a little bit now. They've gone and started an academy and got rid of what was, they were known as Brentford B. They've got rid of that team. So it's who, what will their strength in depth look like? Whereas they had it last year, they might not have it as much this year, hopefully. So yeah, listen, we know Brentford are going to be there or thereabouts without a doubt, and Brentford are probably sort of saying the same along our lines. They want to go win the league next year. I think every team goes into a season wanting to win the league. I said last year was about progressing. I think we progressed from the year before. I think the year before we wanted progression. We did that a little bit. We've definitely progressed a lot more last year. And the natural progression this year would be to be fighting for the title. The problem is not many teams, you can't lose many games, as I alluded to. You probably, you can sort of say, well, we could lose one game and that would be it. So there's not much margin for error if you're going to win the league. But, let's go out there with that mindset of project promotion. We want to get the under-23s promoted as well to get them into tier 6, which I think will help us again retain players and recruit players if they're in tier 6. So we'll be looking at pushing them on. But yeah, that's the plan. We're going to sit the girls down pre-season. Pre-season starts Wednesday. Probably by the time this goes out, we'll already be into pre-season. Yeah. But yeah, we're going to sit down with the girls at some point and do a presentation for them. And the big tagline, and the tagline we're already using in our sort of inner circle, is project promotion. And yeah, I think if we can get some of these girls that I've alluded to signed and over the line, along with what we've got, we've potentially lost one or two from last year from the group. But that's it. We've retained the real core of the group, which is really, really exciting and important, because I know that there were lots of other teams that were after some of our players, and we've retained the real good core of the group from last year. Add a few more to make us a little bit more stronger. And yeah, so first and foremost, the league. Secondly, listen, it's all about who you get drawn in the FA Cup. Let's get to the first round proper again. If we can get to the third round again, that would be amazing. I
Not Chatham.
I want the sort of Sutton 88, 89 sort of vibe where we went sort of from third round one year, fourth round the next. So it can be done. So yeah, not count chickens, but a nice few, some nice draws in the FA Cup that we can go win the games and at least get to the first round. Hopefully a little bit further. That would be good, but that's more of the joy of the FA Cup and the financial side of that as well. Maybe pick up a cup along the way, or one of the other trophies would be nice. But the main game is there's a lot of money coming into the Women's National League next year, apparently, if the plans that they've got go through. And we want our slice of the pie. And I also feel that we've got girls that are good enough for tier 4, tier 3. And girls, I know we've got girls with ambitions of playing tier 4, tier 3. And I've said to some of them girls, do that with us. I know there was some that have been offered tier 4 this year from other teams, and we've had conversations with them, and we're like, well, yes, you can go there. Is that the best move for you when you can come and win the league with us this year and play tier 4 hopefully next year? Still at Sutton. Right. So that's the plan.
Yeah, right. So we're going to wrap up. So finally, almost, I think I know the answer to both of these questions. But we first spoke back in February 24, and I think you were about a month into the post, and you obviously had your plans and your visions. If that version of Lucy could see where we are now, would she be proud?
100%.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely.
One question I'm asking everyone is, how can we help as supporters? How can we get involved? What do you need from us?
Oh, come and watch the girls. Come and support the girls. I mean, the first one for me would be come down and watch. Come and support. Cheer the girls on. Be that 12 player and that 12 person. We've seen. I don't want to keep going on about. They've been mentioned far too many times, but there's 2 teams that begin with D. And we've seen them and the support that they get home and away, and that is sometimes the difference, because it does raise the girls and give them that little bit of an oomph. And we've looked, and when we've had that support, the girls have raised the levels, and we're going to need the girls next year, and we're going to need the supporters. So please come and watch. Come and support the girls. They really, really deserve it. Ultimately, that would be the first step. And yeah, interact with the socials would be good. Just get our name out, make us a bit more, known a little bit more. And of course, buy season ticket support. If you sponsor one of the girls, that would be great, and you get a free season ticket with it as well. So you're not only helping us to, ultimately, the more money we can get in, hopefully we can start rewarding the girls with a financial side of it as well. But it helps us. Not only that, we want to do things really professional, and some of the stuff that we want to do costs money, and so yeah, buy a season ticket, support the girls that way, but ultimately, first up, come and support them physically. That would be the big difference. Would be come down and support the girls physically, and then just support the girls in any other way that you can.
And at least 3 seaside trips this year. So
exactly, yeah.
Some good trips. Lucy's already said she's on a 4-day bender on some. I mean, a 4-day holiday. Sorry. Right. We'll wrap up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, we appreciate everyone's attention and feedback. Follow, like, share this episode at Sutton Podcast on all social medias. Don't forget to subscribe. Give me the thumbs up. Review while you're at it. Thanks as always to Lucky Star Gin. Big thank you to Lucy for your time. It's a nice short 45 minutes. Thanks to for the listeners, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Sutton Podcast. Take care, and we'll catch up soon. Bye-bye.
United!